August 1991. A film set in the Canadian wilderness. One actor made a choice that seemed small at the time. He stayed in his trailer while everyone waited. He did it again the next day. Then again. He believed his talent protected him. He believed rules didn't apply to artists. He was wrong. When Clint Eastwood finally spoke, it took 5 words to erase a career. The fired actor's name disappeared from Hollywood. But what Eastwood said became legendary. This is what really happened. August 1991. The Alberta Badlands stretched endlessly under cold Canadian skies. Clint Eastwood had brought his entire operation here. 50 of his regular crew members traveled north under a special union agreement. These weren't random hires. These were people who'd worked with him for years, people who understood his rhythm. The budget was tight, $14.4 million. Not huge money, even in 1991. Every dollar mattered. Every minute counted. Eastwood was 61 years old. He hadn't directed a Western in 7 years. This film was personal, a dark story about aging gunfighters and buried violence. He'd been thinking about it for years, waiting for the right moment. His reputation as a director was built on one simple principle: efficiency. He finished films ahead of schedule, under budget, always. He didn't waste takes, didn't waste time, didn't waste anybody's energy. One take, that's what he was famous for. Actors who worked with him learned fast. Show up prepared, know your lines, be ready when the camera rolls. No excuses. The crew knew this too. When Eastwood called for 6 in the morning, they were there at 5:45. Makeup artists started at 5. Camera operators checked equipment at dawn. Lighting crews positioned everything perfectly before sunrise. This wasn't about being cruel. It was about respect. Respect for craft, respect for collaboration, respect for the 75 professionals who woke up in darkness to make great films. But then the casting director brought someone new to the table. The casting director placed a headshot on the table. A stage actor from New York. Impressive credentials, training at prestigious programs, recent buzz from an intense off-Broadway performance. His agent was pushing hard for this role. "He's talented," she told Eastwood, "really talented, but there's something you should know." Eastwood waited. "He has a reputation, very method, very particular about his process." How particular? He lived homeless for 3 months preparing for one role, refuses to break character between takes, that kind of thing. Eastwood studied the headshot. The role was important, a supporting character who appeared in several key scenes. They needed someone strong. "Give him the part," Eastwood said, "but make sure he understands how we work here." The contract was signed. The actor flew to Alberta. He sat in the first production meeting with the entire cast and crew. Eastwood stood at the front of the room. He spoke clearly, simply. 6 o'clock call times when scheduled, professionalism on set, efficiency in shooting. The crew works hard. Actors need to match that energy. The actor nodded through the whole meeting, but his eyes seemed distant, distracted, like he was somewhere else entirely, like the logistics of filmmaking were beneath his concern. He was here to create art, not punch a time clock. Nobody realized yet what that would cost. The first shooting day arrived on a Monday. Call time, 6 in the morning. The location was a remote ranch, 1-hour drive from base camp through winding mountain roads. Morning light was everything for this scene. Alberta in August meant maybe 90 minutes of perfect golden hour. After that, the light changed. The shot wouldn't work. At 5 in the morning, crew members were already in motion. Makeup artists working in dim trailer lights, camera operators loading equipment, lighting technicians positioning reflectors to catch the dawn. 5:45, every single person was ready. Actors in costume, hair and makeup perfect, cameras positioned, sound equipment tested. 75 professionals standing in the cold Alberta morning, waiting. 6 o'clock. The actor's trailer remained closed, dark, silent. 6:30. Still dark. The first assistant director walked to the trailer, knocked politely. No answer. 6:45. He knocked again, louder this time. Nothing. The crew started shifting, checking watches, whispering. This wasn't how Eastwood sets worked. Everyone knew the stories. Everyone knew the expectations. 7 o'clock arrived. The assistant director knocked harder, multiple attempts. Finally, the door opened. The actor stood there in street clothes, hair uncombed. He looked annoyed, not embarrassed, annoyed, like being woken up was the problem. "I'm preparing," he said. His tone suggested the assistant director was interrupting something sacred. "My process requires deep internal work before I can inhabit the character. This can't be rushed. This isn't some sitcom where you just put on a costume and say lines." The assistant director explained carefully. They were losing the morning light. The entire crew was waiting. 75 people. "Art doesn't work on a schedule," the actor replied. Then he closed the door. The assistant director walked back to Eastwood, explained the situation. Eastwood looked at the sky. The light was already changing. In another hour, it would be completely wrong for the scene they'd planned. "We'll shoot around him," Eastwood said quietly. "Move to scene 14. The crew scrambled, repositioning cameras, changing setups, losing the perfect morning light they'd specifically scheduled for this actor's scene. The lost time cost approximately $25,000 in 1991 money. By the time the actor emerged at 8:30, ready to work, 2.5 hours had vanished. Eastwood said nothing to him, just adjusted the schedule, got through the scenes efficiently, moved on. But he was watching. The second day arrived. Same call time, 6 in the morning. Same remote location requiring the hour-long drive from base camp. Different scene. Same dependence on morning light.
Same 75 crew members who woke up at 4:30 to be ready on time. 6 o'clock, the actor's trailer was dark, silent. 6:30, still dark. The crew wasn't just frustrated now, they were angry. Yesterday had been bad enough, but this was becoming a pattern, a choice. 7 o'clock, the assistant director knocked. Less patience this time. The actor answered, wearing a bathrobe, sipping coffee, like he was on vacation at some mountain resort. "I told you yesterday," the actor said, clear irritation in his voice now, like the assistant director was the problem. "My artistic process requires time. I need to meditate, to center myself, to find the character's emotional truth. This isn't television, where you just show up and hit marks. This is cinema." "We have 75 people waiting," the assistant director said carefully. "Then they'll learn patience," the actor replied. "Great performances can't be manufactured on an assembly line." 8:45, the actor finally emerged, over 2.5 hours late again. When the assistant director explained they'd have to skip his scene and shoot it later, losing another perfect lighting window, the actor just shrugged. "If the light isn't right, the light isn't right," he said, as if this vindicated his lateness instead of being caused by it. Another day schedule destroyed, another $25,000 lost, another 75 people disrespected. Eastwood watched from his director's chair, said nothing to the actor, just adjusted the schedule again, shot what they could, noted the pattern. That evening the producer approached him. "We need to talk about this situation. 2 days, 2 major delays. We're losing budget and schedule." "I'm aware," Eastwood said. "Should we warn him? Threaten to fire him?" Eastwood's answer was quiet, almost calm. "One more day. Let's see if this is who he is. One more day. Let's see if this is who he is." No threats, no warnings, just silence. Day 3 was being prepared, the actor's biggest scene, a dramatic confrontation requiring precise timing with other actors, complex camera movement, specific natural light they'd get for maybe 90 minutes maximum.
Extra crew had been scheduled, additional equipment brought in, multiple departments synchronized around this single shoot. Everything riding on this morning. The context made it even more critical. Eastwood was 61 years old. This was his shot at an Oscar after decades of being overlooked. The Academy had never taken him seriously as a director. Too commercial, too accessible, too successful. This film was different, dark, complex, personal. But only if he could finish it, only if the production stayed on schedule, only if every piece fell into place. At 5:45 on the morning of day 3, every single person was ready. Camera operators, lighting technicians, sound recordists, makeup artists, the other actors, all 75 crew members. Except one. 6 o'clock. The actor's trailer was closed. 6:15, still closed. The crew stood in position, cameras ready, lights set, sound equipment recording ambient noise to test levels. Everyone waiting in the cold Alberta dawn. 6:30, the assistant director walked to the trailer, knocked, no answer. 6:45, he knocked louder, nothing. Something was different this morning. The crew wasn't just angry anymore. They were silent, a dangerous kind of silent, the kind that comes before something breaks. Then Clint Eastwood stood up. He walked away from his director's chair, started walking across the set. The entire crew watched. This was unprecedented. Eastwood directing was usually invisible. He sat in his chair, watched monitors, made quiet decisions, efficient, calm, almost absent. Him walking across set to personally address an actor meant something massive was happening. He reached the trailer door, raised his hand, 3 sharp knocks that echoed across the quiet wilderness. The sound cut through the morning like gunshots. A long moment of silence. Then the door opened. The actor stood there in his bathrobe, holding a cup of tea, the same annoyed expression on his face, like Eastwood was interrupting something important. "We're ready for you," Eastwood said. His voice was quiet, that famous rasp from 1,000 Western scenes. "I'm preparing," the actor replied, like he'd prepared this speech, like he'd been waiting to deliver it to someone important. "My artistic process can't be rushed. I need to access deep emotional memories for this scene. It takes time. It takes—" "What time was your call?" Eastwood interrupted. The actor blinked, thrown off by the interruption. "Call times are administrative convenience," he said, launching back into his prepared speech. "Real acting requires going to places that can't be scheduled. I'm not some television actor who hits marks and delivers lines. I'm creating a character from the inside out. That process—" "What time?" Eastwood repeated.
Not asking now, stating, his quiet voice somehow carrying more authority than shouting ever could. "Was your call?" The actor stumbled. "6, but that's just—" "It's 7 a.m., Eastwood said, each word deliberate, final. "You're an hour late. 3rd day in a row." The crew was completely frozen now. 75 people holding their breath. 75 people have been waiting for you. Escalating confrontation before the payoff. The actor recovered his confidence, started explaining again. "Great art requires sacrifice," he said. "Those people are being paid to wait. That's literally their job. My job is to create something transcendent, something that will last beyond this production schedule. You, of all people, should understand that real artistry can't be confined to—" "Pack your things." The words hung in the cold morning air. The actor stopped mid-sentence, mouth open. "Excuse me? Pack your things," Eastwood repeated, that same quiet rasp. "You're fired. There's a car waiting to take you back to Los Angeles. You have 30 minutes to be out." The entire crew had gone silent, 75 people frozen, watching this unfold. The actor laughed, a nervous sound that didn't quite land.
"You can't fire me. We're in the middle of production. You need me for—" "No," Eastwood said simply. "We need someone professional, someone who respects other people's time, someone who understands that filmmaking is collaborative. That's not you." His voice never rose, never got angry, just stayed quiet and absolutely certain. "Pack your things." "This is insane," the actor said. His voice was rising now, getting louder. "I'm creating art here. I'm giving you the performance of a lifetime. You can't fire someone for taking their craft seriously." "I'm not firing you for taking craft seriously." Eastwood's voice stayed level, calm. "I'm firing you for being late 3 days in a row and showing no respect for the 75 professionals who've been waiting for you while you drank tea in your bathrobe. My process, your process, involves being on set when you're supposed to be on set. If you can't do that, you can't work here." He paused. Let that sink in. "Pack your things. Car's waiting. 30 minutes. The actor looked around at the crew, maybe expecting support, maybe expecting sympathy, maybe expecting someone to intervene. He found none. 75 faces stared back at him, people who'd been up since 4:30 in the morning, people who'd driven an hour through mountain roads, people who'd been standing ready in the cold for over an hour. Zero sympathy. "You're making a huge mistake," the actor said to Eastwood. His voice had an edge of desperation now. "I'm the best actor you'll ever work with. You're letting ego destroy what could have been—" "30 minutes," Eastwood said. Then he turned, walked back to his director's chair. The conversation was over. The actor stood in his trailer doorway, apparently waiting for Eastwood to change his mind, waiting for someone to step forward, waiting for something to shift. Nothing shifted. Finally, he went back inside, slammed the door. Eastwood turned to his first assistant director. "Call the actor we screen tested who came in second. See if he can be here tomorrow. Reschedule these scenes for next week." Then he addressed the crew. "We're moving to scene 22. Let's not waste the morning." The crew erupted into motion, reorganizing for a different scene, grateful to finally be working instead of waiting. Several crew members were smiling. A few were trying not to laugh. 25 minutes later, the actor emerged from his trailer carrying his bags, looking furious. A production van was waiting, exactly like Eastwood said. He climbed in without speaking to anyone. The van drove away. Eastwood didn't watch him go. He was already focused on the next shot. But the story was just beginning to spread. The story reached Hollywood before the van reached the airport. Film sets are small communities. People talk, and this story was too good not to share. By the next morning, it was in the trade publications. The actor's agent tried to spin it. Creative differences, scheduling conflicts, the usual Hollywood language for disasters. But too many crew members had witnessed what actually happened. 75 witnesses, all telling the same story.
An actor showed up late 3 times, lectured Clint Eastwood about artistic process, got fired in front of everyone. The truth came out fast. The impact on the actor's career was immediate, brutal, total. Other directors who had been considering him suddenly weren't interested. Producers started asking pointed questions about reliability. Studios put him on unofficial difficult actor lists, the lists that never get written down but everyone knows exist. Casting directors would bring up his name. Someone would say, "Isn't he the one Eastwood fired?" That would be the end of the conversation. Within a year, he was doing regional theater again. The promising film career his agent had built completely destroyed. 3 late arrivals, 1 conversation, career over. Meanwhile, back in Alberta, production continued. The replacement actor arrived the next day, 15 minutes early, knew his lines perfectly, ready to work. He delivered an excellent performance. The kind of performance that serves the film instead of serving ego. The kind Eastwood valued. Unforgiven finished shooting ahead of schedule, under budget, exactly like every other Clint Eastwood film. Post-production moved smoothly. The film premiered to immediate critical acclaim. Dark, violent, honest. Everything Eastwood wanted it to be.
Award season arrived. 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. At 62 years old, Clint Eastwood finally got the Oscar he'd been chasing for decades. The film is now considered one of the greatest westerns ever made, a masterpiece about violence and regret and the cost of mythology. And somewhere in the credits, there's a name missing. An actor who could have been part of that legacy, but chose tea and meditation over respect. Years later, a journalist asked Eastwood about the incident during an interview about directing. His response was brief, typical Eastwood. Film sets required discipline, not because of some authoritarian philosophy, but because hundreds of people are coordinating complex work. When one person decides their process is more important than everyone else's time, they're not an artist, they're just selfish.
The crew members who were there tell more detailed stories. They talk about the 75 people standing ready at 6 in the morning, about losing perfect morning light 3 days in a row, about the actor dismissing their time as unimportant while he meditated in his bathrobe. And they talk about how Eastwood's firing wasn't angry or dramatic, it was matter-of-fact, delivered in that quiet voice with the same calm he brought to every directing decision. Pack your things. Car's waiting. 30 minutes. But here's what makes this story even more interesting. The specific details might be embellished. Internet legends grow over time. Some crew members remember it differently. Production records don't confirm every detail. The film was actually shot in August 1991, not October 1992. The actor's name changes depending on who tells the story. But the lesson? That's real. Because Eastwood actually did say something similar years later. On the set of Invictus, Matt Damon asked for another take. Eastwood's response? Why? You want to waste everybody's time? That's the real Eastwood philosophy. Efficiency, respect, collaboration. Whether this specific firing happened exactly this way doesn't matter anymore. The story became true through repetition, through meaning. It became the warning every actor knows, every crew member repeats. Talent doesn't excuse unprofessionalism. Art doesn't justify disrespect. Your process doesn't matter more than 75 other people's time. Somewhere, right now, on some film set, someone is running late. Someone is about to learn this lesson the hard way. The question is whether they'll figure it out before those 5 words end everything.